It's the Hot Mess with Jess with your host Jesse Pimpinella, and now your guest from Huckabee and Dry Bar Comedy. Give it up for Dan Brown.
Dan, how are you doing, man?
Hello, am I on the air?
You are on the air, yes.
Am I on the air?
Sir?
Do I need to turn my radio down?
No, you're good, sir. You're good, sir. You're good.
All right.
I love we're going old-timey already at the top of the show.
I just want to tell my grandson, Hugh Janus, happy birthday.
Did you say anus or Janus? What did you say?
Huge Janus. Huge. You know what? I'm being so hacky. I think I actually just said huge anus. I didn't even try to do the fake name.
You're like, I meant what I meant. I meant what I said. I meant what I said. Dude, I remember growing up, I loved all those names. I loved, like, there was Amanda Kiss.
Oh, yeah.
Craven Moorhead. What were some of the ones that you remember as a kid?
Curly Pubes.
Jesus.
Harry Big Cock.
Mike Hunt.
Mike Hunt.
Hunt, just so everybody knows what I said.
There was Howard Stern. His guys used to do a million of these things.
Oh my God.
Phenomenal. And there was one where the guy, he tried to do some big elaborate name and they couldn't do it. And Howard was making fun of him. He was like, yeah, this is anti-disestablishmentarianism.
Dude, there's like so many good names, and I absolutely love those. Like Ivana Moorhead, that's another good one. Ivan Moorhead. I love pranks. Were you a prankster growing up? Did you play any pranks like that growing up?
I tried doing pranks every now and then. I can't say I ever did anything like that elaborate. Don't get me wrong. I got the names, immediately. Yeah. I'm going to leave some names out because I'm pretty sure some of these people still work for the bank that I used to work for. But there was one manager I called and I did the huge Janus thing or bend over or whatever. So he called me back and he disguised his voice and he was like, "Oh yes, I need to talk about checking account." And I was like, "Great, can I get your name?" Ivan Jaganoff. And
it's great.
And he called and said that, and it was like the first of the month, and I worked in a bad neighborhood, so it was very bit. I shouldn't say bad neighborhood; it was a low income neighborhood, so it was very busy. A lot of people getting their first month checks and whatnot. And I'm like, okay, yes, sir, Ivan Jagan. And it hit me when I was saying it, and I throw the phone, and I'm sprawled out on the desk in front of me, screaming, laughing, looking like a lunatic, with easily 50 people inside the bank. So.
It's such a classic. It's like you always see the classic harmonica playing the blues. Wow, 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 wow. And these silly names and just throwing them in little pranks. This is our little playing the blues of comedy, which I love. It's so much fun, and it's so fun when the name hits you. The name hits you. It's beautiful.
And it's great when you see it happen on the news, especially because it's still.
Oh my God, I love it.
And every once in a while, one of the anchors catches it as the other one is saying it, and they can't control their laughter because it's. Ben Dover. Ben Dover is one of the greatest names of all time. What I don't like is when you see it on TikTok and you can tell it's clearly staged.
Yeah,
it's the whole thing of it's funny watching the old lady slip on ice and fall at the grocery store. But it's not funny if you see her looking for people videotaping beforehand.
Yeah. I feel like because of what you just brought up, America's Funniest Home Videos can't be a thing anymore. I feel like watching the accidents happen nowadays doesn't exist because I feel like as a society, we're more on our cameras seeking those events so much that we want to artificialize them versus, we're recording something. Oh, it's Timmy's Little League baseball game. Boom, the ball hits someone in the crotch. And it's a big explosion of laughter. I don't know. I think with anything with comedy and ages and what is going on nowadays, what is funny, what's not funny, it's kind of weird how that changed. That was kind of the America's Funniest Home Videos was the original TikTok, essentially.
It was. And think of what had to be like what you had to do to get that stuff on tape. Like your dad had to take out like that massive camcorder with the with the full size VHS that went inside of it. You know what I mean? And it's like then you had to hope that like grandma spilled hot oil on herself or something.
I want someone to have that old ass camera where they go, all right, let's go.
Yeah. Well, I
She's got the old ass camera.
My uncle was living with my grandparents at the time, and he called our house, and he was crying, and he couldn't breathe because he was laughing so hard because my grandfather thought he had that there was like a thing of wine. So he poured himself a glass, and he was never a very smart man, by the way. So he poured himself or something, or he drank it out of the bottle or whatever, but it was vegetable oil. Like it wasn't wine. So he's just out there, MFing the world. Meanwhile, to see that in person is amazing.
Oh yeah. It's those moments alone that are hilarious. Like it's sometimes the best joke written is just a joke that happens in real life, and there's just no way like it's that phrase, I can't believe this is happening. Yeah, I mean, when those moments happen, they are so golden. But and in stand-up comedy, we try to sometimes bring those moments back. We try to talk about those moments, or even talk about the mundane moments that aren't big. Comedy kind of covers that whole entire range. Now, I want to get into what is called hot mess quick fires. I want the audience to get to know you. I want quick little questions. Listen, I don't believe in small talk. Small talk is bullshit. All right. How's the weather? Kiss my ass. I want to know weird shit about you, man. That's what I want. All right. I want to get to know people. All right. Ready. So real quick, most unhinged thing you've done before show. Go.
I mean, I don't do too many unhinged things before shows. I'm very I have my ways. I do what I need to do. I get myself in my own situation. It's not really unhinged, but recently I was performing at a comedy club called the Underground Laugh Lounge, and my opener had made a joke about a man bun being a douche nozzle. And meanwhile, I had to then take my man bun out of my hair because everyone agreed that it was that they hated it. And I'm trying to flatten my hair since it's been in a bun. Now it's kind of curled in the back. So thank you to that asshole.
Oh God, I heard that opener's a fucking prick too with his stupid CPAP joke.
Yeah. I mean, I've had plenty of situations where it's right before I'm about to go on stage, it's I can't believe it. I have to take a shit right now. And it's I'm trying to do I'm trying to beat the clock.
Oh my God.
And that's terrible because it's I'm doing squats in the stall trying to because you know what it's like when you get that it feels like it's stuck. So it's I'm trying to force my body to do it.
You're trying to shake this shit out, literally.
Yes. It's that. So I'm standing up, I'm squatting down, I'm standing up, I'm squatting down. And the guy in the next stall over is oh man, they must have undercooked the chicken here tonight.
All right.
Nothing too crazy.
Okay, well, here, this is again, I don't like small talk, but I want to know this. If you punch one fictitious character in the face, who would it be?
Oh man.
Oh yeah, I bring on those questions.
Geez. Kevin McAllister.
What?
No. You know who I would?
Who?
The bellman. The bellman in Home Alone 2. Tim Curry's character.
Oh, Tim Curry's character. Oh man, yeah, I can see that. I would
slap him around because there's so many things that could have been done. Or no, you know what? I'm going to take it back to Home Alone for one. Okay. His neighbor, the guy with the shovel and everything.
Oh yeah.
Because this is a man who's clearly aware of the rumors being spread about him around the neighborhood from the children, and there's a couple instances where something in his head would be wow, I've seen this McAllister boy all by himself. Maybe I should alert the police. Maybe I should.
Maybe.
And when Kevin sees him and he slams his hand down at the convenience store over the toothbrush kind of thing, and it's that this should be an incredibly easy scenario for like an adult to like, hey, how about I go step outside for 15 seconds?
Yeah.
So this
No, but you bring up another good point. Like, he kind of like builds up on the murder vibe. Like he knows those rumors probably. You're right. And like he's wearing like the leather daddy boots, you know what I mean? And he has the bladed shovel, which most shovels have that blade. But like you really have to be scratching it at 9 p.m. at night. Like,
And then also like shame on the family too, who was like they're trying to go to France like for Christmas. And I get that cell phones weren't a major thing back then, but phones on the plane were. And, like nobody thought to be like, hey, while we're gone, can you try to call our house like every couple hours to see if the phone lines finally reconnect?
Yeah.
And once they start reconnecting, then, you know, we'll get the airlines to, you know, we'll call the airlines to get on your flight so we can call and say, I don't know. Everyone in that movie should be slapped around at least 100 times.
I agree. There's a lot of like, I mean, even like Uncle Frank is like a complete prick. Like everybody's it's over the top prickish at everybody.
But like I saw this on Twitter, and I wish I could credit the person right now. It's like shame on the pizza delivery man, and shame on that entire hotel staff who believed that there was a shooting going on, like on the other side of the door, and none of them thought like maybe I should call the police about this.
Dude, that dude just said nothing. Well, I mean, at least the hotel people, they at least tried to alert other people in the hotel. Like the pizza guy pieced the hell out. He just like, whatever, I'm done. I'm not gonna deal with this.
There's a reason why Marv shouldn't have called the police. It was like, hey, I was trying to scope out this house I want to break into. that's a terrible thing to like.
That's a good reason. That's a good reason. But and also it's just like I don't know. It's the thing is like Kevin's ingenuity in that movie makes him a diabolical human being to this day. And like I said, that's why you always hear those film rumors that it's just Jigsaw when he was a child and stuff like that. Which I totally buy into that. I mean, those traps are because he's a sadist. Like both Jigsaw and Kevin watch the traps go. Like Kevin puts himself in the most unnecessary amount of danger to be there to watch it. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's not like letting him go through the traps, piecing out, going next door, calling the cops so that they, you know what I mean? Like he's sitting there watching this, loving this fucking shit. It's but what are you gonna do? I mean, hey, it's a white white kid. They're dangerous. They're dangerous.
It was also a very white neighborhood that like a cop came into your house and nobody on the block like looked on the street and went, there's no cop car here. Like
also they kind of just looked at him like, a public servant. Like they dude, there was a cop in my living room. Dude, like everybody would be getting drill sergeant down to the living room. What the fuck are you here for? Like, they kind of took that in strides. I mean, the Home Alone movies, like I said, I love them, but they're kind of bullshit.
I do too.
Like the third movie is ridiculous because, and I love that one. I have a little soft spot for that one. He goes up against 4 like terrorists. They are trying to smuggle weapons of mass destruction out of America and give it to North Korea. And it's like, and then this kid just takes them on, and I'm like, I don't think that would have happened in real life. But it's suspend disbelief. You watch it, you enjoy it. All right, let me. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. What is the strangest city or venue you ever performed in, and why?
So, can strangest city and venue be 2 separate?
They can be 2 separate. This can be one. Okay. It can be whatever you want it to be. It's however you want to answer it.
So I did one show in Illinois, and I can't think of the name of the venue. And even if I did remember it, I would not be promoting them right now because I was miserable at the show. There were free range chickens just like outside the bar.
Why were
I don't know. But no, I don't know where I was at. Like that's the other weird thing. So I'm I'm doing the show, and it's just I don't want to be there. I think I called you the day before because like I drove to Nashville and the show got canceled when I was an hour outside of town.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
So it's like I already paid for the hotel, and I can't drive back because it's easier to go to the next town from where I'm at than would it be to go home at that point and whatnot. And so I'm just kind of miserable already, and I got my dog with me, so I'm leaving my dog in a hotel room. And I get to the venue, and it's like the drywall has been ripped off, and like there's dollar bills, like people sign dollar bills and staple them to the wall. It's just so trashy, white trash hillbilly bullshit. And then I get there and they're like, yeah, so there was a funeral in town that everyone's at, so we're gonna do the show at 9 instead of 8. And I was like, no, like because people like, and that's the other thing that bothered me too, was like, hey, it's you might think it's just an hour, but like that's an hour of less sleep than I'm going to get tonight.
Yeah.
And I got to drive somewhere in the morning, and now you're inconveniencing me. And also everything that you've done promoting this show has said 8 o'clock. So like, and I conceded a little bit. We started at 8:30.
Did they expect somebody to like run over during mid eulogy and be like, by the way, the town show today is pushed to 9?
Yeah, and that was the thing.
The Dan Brown show is now it's a little after funeral function.
Yeah, exactly. Just I mean, I'd rather do the show at the funeral, to be honest. At that point. But I did a city, and the city was called, I think it was called Farmville, North Carolina. And
Farmville, okay.
It wasn't like that bad of a city. And the venue I performed at was actually pretty cool. The guy had a lot to learn, though, about how to actually run a comedy show, because his goal was to run a venue like the clubs that he saw in Vegas. And the problem with that is that Farmville, North Carolina is not Las Vegas, Nevada.
Yeah.
And he had a hard time trying to adjust to that. He tried doing too many comedy shows in a row, like too many weekends in a row. And it's like,
so he burnt out his audience.
It's like, dude, this is a town of 3,000 people. Like, you can't just announce a show the week of. Like, you need to promote it. You could probably do a monthly thing, but quite frankly, you probably want to do a once a quarter thing with you.
Yeah.
And skip the summertime, by the way. So that was kind of like, that was like the strangest city, because it's like, hey, you're trying to be Vegas and you're clearly not.
I love that the city was literally named after the thing that spammed all our Facebooks in the 2000s.
I used to love that game, man. I love that game. Oh,
you did? Oh, you would have sent me an invite, too. I bet you have.
I would have sent you a million invites.
That's probably why. Dude, I couldn't stand anybody. I think you had. I wanted to be a locust just so I could fuck everybody's farm up, man. I was like, so why would you send that? Why would you send this to me? I don't know. All right. So let's keep going. So here's always a fun thing. When we're on stage, sometimes in a weird show, we will throw out a joke that would be like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. What's a joke where you've done that and you were like, I regret that, and what happened next?
I mean, I have a few jokes that don't get received very well. You know what? So this isn't a joke of mine, but you were there. It was in a city called Durand, Michigan. And
oh God, I remember this.
I went to I'll never forget it. And I went to the well of it being a very white town one too many times. And if you remember, you were over by the merch table, so you missed.
I saw most of it.
You heard it,
and I have a part of the story I'm going to tell, but keep going.
So you know what sucked about it too was that I think the clown took down my camera like before my set was over. So I completely missed the fight, and which, by the way, if you remember, this was not a very good show to start off with, and. No. Essentially what happened was there was a, and I'll use the term white supremacist here because he yelled about being proud of your race and whatnot. And it was weird. And I wasn't saying anything too controversial, by the way. I
remember the joke you said.
I remember the joke and whatnot. And then he's drunk, he's slurring his words, he's yelling at people, people are yelling at him, someone yells at him to shut the F up, and he goes, why don't you make me? And then somebody gets up, and I have the microphone right here. I'm like, oh, he's at least 6'5", because it's like we can only see the shadows. And then he disappears into the light, and I hear the table flip and the glasses break. And I go to walk off stage. I'm like, all right, guys, show's over. And I'm still on stage, and the clown runs in, and he goes, you stay up there, Dan.
Yep. You gotta stay out there. You that if anybody goes on stage, it's trespassing. You can take them out.
Exactly. And that's what the clown meant.
The part of the story where the guy gets hit, here's the part you're missing, and this is the best part, because you were on stage and you couldn't see what was going on. So that the guy you got the big racist guy who stands up and says, fuck you, all right? And then another guy gets up. That guy was the boyfriend of the woman who was the manager.
Yeah.
And he uppercutted him, and guy went down and started kicking him under the table. And then the manager literally screamed, not where I work, girl. It's the funniest thing ever.
So I couldn't see the punch. So he went into the light. I literally could not see a single thing.
Yeah.
Like that.
It was dead center. You would have never been able to see it.
So I didn't know he uppercutted him. I didn't know that there were kicks under the table. And because other people around me were screaming, I couldn't hear not where I work, Earl.
God, it was hilarious. It was the funniest shit I've ever heard in my life. That was honestly, you and I could have gave our best A game of comedy, and nothing would have been funnier than that woman yelling, not where I work, girl. Nothing.
And what was also great was so I go to the merch table and I'm like, dude, I don't know if we should be here. And I shit you not, if you remember, both of us just hand over fist. People are
hand over fist.
I couldn't believe it. I wish all my shows would end with the fight. If you promised me I would make that much in merch every night.
Dude, yeah. And that was a fun night. That was a fun trip we had. That was just but that's why comedy is so great. We'll have these, because most of these shows are amazing. We do a lot of great shows. And then there's one in the 100 that we do that makes us go, what in the hell has just happened? And I live for those moments. I try to be more open to those moments. But yeah, no, okay. So here's another thing. Here's another one I wanted to do. What is something you want people to know about you? What's something you're people need to know this shit?
I feel like I'm pretty open on stage. And I'll be honest with people, my bits primarily are fictions based off of truth. Some names have been changed, some characters have been changed, because, if I tell you about my friend did this, or my uncle did this, or my cousin did this, or this, and I start giving them all names, it's hard for the person in the audience to keep track. So, an uncle, a cousin, a brother, or whatever, might all just be my dad, because it's easier for people to have one character in their mind to do that. God, this is going to sound so presumptuous of me.
Go do it.
As I
do it.
I want the people who come to my shows to feel like we've had a connection. I'm not just a comedian. I'm your friend on stage. I'm the guy that you're relating to. I'm letting you into my world, and I appreciate you coming along for the ride.
Yeah. And I think that's a lot of times very overlooked in performances and comedy anymore and all that stuff, because it's so important to have that experience, because nowadays with so much, especially after 2020, so much has been shown that you can stay home and get about anything at your fingertips. So to get people to leave their couch, leave their door, you really have to create that experience that makes people go, fuck, man, I want to experience that again. I want to have that again. I want to enjoy that again. And it's still a very possible thing. You see a lot of people they're booking gigs or getting people filling up shows, selling tickets, all that stuff. And that's a thing that I think is so important that people overlook, because there's some people that, and I see it a lot in comedy, people don't really respect the audience's time, so to speak.
Yeah.
They're like, these are my jokes, and I'm going to tell my jokes, and whatever. And you've seen that. You've seen that attitude before where it's just take it or leave it. Which, again, like I said, there's a certain honesty about yourself. Yes, you have to have. But there's a symbiotic relationship between comic and audience. I mean, if you're not respecting the audience's time, why the hell are they going to show up to another show later? You know what I mean?
I mean, don't get
And
me
I
wrong.
think
There's certain aspects of like there's control I must have being the one with the microphone. There is an aspect where I understand of somebody going, okay, I don't care whether or not the show goes well or not tonight, and I can understand that because there's a part of me that I've had to learn. Like I want every show to go well. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
I want people to have a good experience with me, but it's especially when it comes to like corporate events, because most of those can be, shouldn't say most, but a lot of them can be pretty challenging.
Yes.
And at
corporate
the end of
events,
it, I'm like,
for those that don't know, it's like trying to shove a square into a circle. Yeah,
most of the time, yeah. And
yes, I mean, and I don't mean to say it in a bad way. It's just that a lot of times we're trying to put something that we love in something that we also might love, and it's just sometimes they're not symbiotic, they're not working together. But when you do have that corporate gig where, some corporations, they get the name of the game. They understand this is a show. They get their people set up to enjoy a show rather than like, all right, come here. We're going to do a little seminar and then we're going to do Mr. Jokey Jokes, Dan Brown. You know what I mean? Like there's a difference between that success and that failure. And it's based upon setup, which is the make or break of most jokes in itself too.
And what I've actually learned this year too is when I'm doing a corporate gig, it's like I'm going to put pressure on the boss as well to make sure it goes well. Because I'll talk to them before the show and I'll call them on the phone and like, okay, what's the situation? What am I looking at here? How much time am I doing? How should I be dressed? That kind of stuff. And then I'll tell them, I was like, listen, I just need a microphone and I need to make sure everyone's attention is on me. And what I'll do is I'll put it on them where it's best if the boss, if the one in charge is the person who brings me up. Because it's on that person to quiet down the audience before I'm going on. And I'll even say, and I tell them, and as the boss, your employees should be respecting you to quiet down. And
that's an interesting aspect. I don't see enough of that.
Yeah. And that's one of those things where it's like, no, dude, this is on you right now. Like you're the one doing this. And if you can't quiet them down, then I guess that says a little bit about you there too. And I'll explain to them, it's like, dude, it's not like music where, two guys can be at a table talking to each other. And then all of a sudden one of them hears like a couple notes from a song. It's, oh yeah, I kind of like this song. And it'll take them out of it or whatever. It's no, I'm a stand-up comedian. I'm literally just talking.
Yeah.
Okay. I need to have reception from the people I'm talking to. So
yeah, you're playing off somebody. You're not just simply talking to a wall. And I think that is sometimes I think that's a misconception people have when they book comedy, that they think it's a passive activity when it's in fact active, because if there's no energy coming from the audience. I mean, it gets awkward. It gets awkward that way.
And it's something I explained to them too is I'm like, hey, listen, I know what's happened. You went on Netflix, you went on Comedy Central, you watched somebody's hour-long special, and you thought this would be fun for our event. And what you didn't take into account is that the special you watched is a big name that everyone in the audience paid to go see. They shot it over the course of 2 to 4 shows. And I'm talking about like major productions, like, because you and I know people, and I've done it before too, where it's like, hey, this is our one shot to record this. So if we screw this up, we got to figure out something.
In the hole.
So, I mean, it's one of those things, and I love Jim Gaffigan, but I forgot what special it was. There's one where he goes on stage and he's got like a corded microphone.
It's the Amazon one.
When they cut to him, and then they cut to him, he's got a cordless. So, it's the old like continuity thing that you would see in movies where, they're at the hospital and you see the clock on the wall and the clock, it said 4:30 the first time, and then they cut back to him and it's like 7:15. That's what happens, and you don't see that people bought tickets. You don't see that they went to a comedy club or a theater, like a place that it's set up for it. It's not at a banquet hall where everyone's receiving an award kind of thing, and half the audience's back is to me to start off with. So I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, hey, you want this? I'm going to tell you what you need, because every one of these things that you don't have because you booked a comedy club, whether or not you realize it, and every one of these things that you don't have is going to take away from the show.
Exactly. Yeah. It's comedy is like, it's such a sensitive environment you have to set up so that it works. It's kind of like I always, comedy is sort of like the Ocean's 11 plan. You know what I mean? You need all those 11 parts to really make it work and wow the audience. And one little tiny thing could take it off. And it's like comedy, like I said, I think the biggest flaw with comedy, the biggest flaw is that anybody can be funny. You know what I mean? But no one can accidentally do a heart surgery. No one can accidentally juggle, and no one can accidentally do a guitar riff. But somebody can accidentally tell a really funny joke and make everybody in the room laugh. And then it's that moment where they're like, oh. But then it's like, can you do that on the cue? Like if I say, all right, please give it up for Dan Brown. And then the next hour, you're making us laugh. That's what comedy is. It's not just, and again, like I said, you and I both know, we've had the people that come up at the end of the show like, hey Dan, come here, let me tell you a little jokey joke you can use in your little skits. And you're like, oh God, the pearls of wisdom here, guys. All right.
Or yeah, or it's like, you know, remember like,
hold on, you're cutting me out for a second. Can you say it one more time? Yep, I just lost you for a second. Say that again. I'm here.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, good. Sorry, I lost you. You lost me. I have no idea who did what. So
we're back.
But what I was going to say was, you remember what it was like? Okay, good. You remember what it was like at open mics when, everyone's having a rough set, and there's like one guy at the bar who thinks like, I could do this. And then he gets on stage, and within 90 seconds, he starts freaking out, and he goes, because he had nothing planned. He just thought I could be as dumb and funny as they want. And after 90 seconds, they quickly run off stage. And that's the realistic part of stand-up that most people don't see.
Yeah, there is so much of a balancing act, because you're worrying about your act, but you're also paying attention to the room. You're also paying attention to what joke you're going to do next. But also, based on how the room is, I might do this joke instead next, because the audience seems like they're digging this more than that. And it's like we are writing, rewriting, and editing on the fly. Something that was already concrete, that already works, because we found a way in the very moments of doing it how to make this better and more custom to an audience, which again, like I said, it's all about that experience. It's all about making people come out for something like, ooh, that's amazing. I like that. I remember I saw TJ Miller at Hilarities years ago, and every show he did was different, but it was the same material. But every show was very vividly different, but it was the same material, and everybody had an experience. And I think that's the rare thing. That's the case of, okay, if I could do that, I could achieve that, then that's when people go, oh, hey, when's the next time Dan Brown comes to town? I had a blast when I got to see him. So that's the biggest thing. But right now, let's go into we're going to talk about something. I want to talk about your proudest achievement yet. Obviously, Dan, you've racked up a lot of cool stuff so far, between the dry bar, the comic books, the new independent album that you released yourself, the Dad Night Rises. Would you say one of those three right now is your proudest comedic achievement, or is there a secret you've been holding out on me?
I would say one of those three. I'm going to throw my performance on Huckabee in there as well, because that was on a television show on a network, television network, not a station network kind of thing. But I would have to say Dry Bar is, and it's one of those things where I was thinking about this before we started talking about, what's my biggest accomplishment. And I don't know if you saw the movie Soul on Disney Plus. It came out during the pandemic.
So real quickly, I want to see that movie so badly. but I have a bottle of a Prozac that tells me I'm not ready to watch it.
Okay.
I
It's definitely a good show or a good movie.
I bet it's a good. Pixar's too good at what they do. I just think it's gonna. The last I watched Inside Out. I've never cried 90 minutes straight,
Yeah.
heartbroken and everything. So like part of me's just like when I find out like, oh, it's about a guy who's a musician who dies before he can make his dream come true. And then it's like, oh, he's fighting for his life. He might be able to come back to life. And
Right.
I'm like, Jesus, fuck it. Leave me alone, Pixar. Please. I won't watch it, but that scares me. But anyways, go on. What were you saying about that?
Especially it's like, hey, well, yeah, it's the whole thing is it's an artist who dies before they accomplish their dreams. But at one point, so spoiler alert, he comes back and he gets to perform in one of his big dreams, and afterwards he's talking with the lady who's the big star, and I'm gonna butcher what the phrase that she gave him was because like he's kind of depressed afterwards, and she was like, there was a fish, and the fish's goal was to get to the ocean, and then one day another fish looked at him and said, "But you're already in the ocean." He goes, "This is water. I want the ocean." And that's kind of what Dry Bar has been to me, because for a while, that was my big goal, was to do it. And I'll never forget is the first show was like top 3 shows I've ever done. Like, cause we filmed two shows that night. And then the second show was a good show. I mean, it wasn't amazing, but it was a good show. And they made the special off the second show kind of thing. Which again, hey, it's still a good video, still a good product. I'm so proud of it. And I'm riding high off that experience. And, at that time I went to work on Friday, and then I flew to Salt Lake City on Saturday morning, got a rental car, drove an hour to Provo, did Dry Bar. The next day, drove back to Salt Lake City, sat in the airport all day because I couldn't get on an earlier flight, and then get home like around midnight. And the next day on Monday, I'm waking up for work. And it was one of those situations where it was like you accomplish this major goal and I'm back in the office. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I'm sitting there and it's like, did this even happen? And it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I did it, but what comes next? And sometimes I take it for granted. It's like, hey, part of the reason I wanted to do that too was like, hey, if this is the biggest thing I ever do, it's a pretty cool thing I got to do.
Yeah.
But then you do it and you're kind of going, man, I don't want to be that comic 20 years from now when I'm giving my credits and, what I'm going to say when they say, oh, it's on HBO and Showtime. And it's like, yeah, dude, you haven't done anything since 92.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know what? Here's the thing. And I don't think you would fall to that though, because I think you're not a person who rests on his laurels. Let's face it. There are, and I'm going to say this because, and this is just based on what I feel. A lot of stuff from the 90s and stuff like that were people that there was an economy of comedy where if you hit that good 5 minutes, you get a sitcom. And that was the Netflix comedy special, the sitcom. And you can trace back all the comedians. I got those sitcoms. You know what I mean? And I don't think comedy, not to say that you can't come up with a good hour or like that, but there was a easier resting on your laurels because there was it felt like most of the people that were in stand-up at the time were trying to get out of stand-up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like how in the 80s, like Dangerfield was in movies, but he didn't slow down from doing specials either. You know what I mean? Like, there seemed to be like almost like a special all the time with him in albums and stuff like that. But like, like how many Jerry Seinfeld albums were there in the 90s?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's probably 1, 2, and those 2 probably came after his sitcom. So it's kind of like that was the difference of that game. You don't seem like somebody who would rest on their laurels. I mean, and I see that as because you did an independent special. as well as an album. But before we get into that, I want to ask you. So, I mean, after you did the dry bar, you know, how real quick, let's talk about the celebration before we jump into the what next existential crisis. Like, what did it feel like? How did it feel, man? What did it do for you? How did you celebrate that night after you got off stage for the second time? Like, what'd you do?
So, I mean, that night it was kind of late because I had to wake up early to get a flight from Cleveland to Salt Lake City. That's 2 hours behind. So by the time that second show was over, I was like, I'm ready for bed. And you know me, I don't party or anything, but it's if you notice my wall behind me, that was like a big wake up call of, hey, you're starting to do some really cool stuff. Try to get a memento when you're out of town. And don't get me wrong, I still buy some of these hats online and whatnot, especially when it's a good price or something. But there's certain hats that it's like, I'm not buying this hat until either I perform in this town or something major in my life happens. Like
that's cool.
Because then at that point I'm rewarding myself with something, and that's also something that kind of keeps me grounded and hey, your whole life isn't just focused on comedy right now. It's this is something you can use to connect yourself to to other people. I mean, what did I do? I guess I at the airport the next day I sat and I reflected for a long time because there were a number of things that had to go into being on Dry Bar. And it's not just, hey, submitting a video and getting accepted. It's the hours that you put in working, writing, driving, performing, bombing, getting knocked down, getting back up, getting knocked down, getting back up. And at one place I had asked, I was like, hey, what are you looking for in your comedians? And they're, and I told him, like, hey, if you think I suck and I'm the worst comedian in the world and Dan Brown, we hate you. We hope you get hit by a bus the moment you walk out. Just tell me. I'm like, I won't hold it against you. Like, I'm not gonna try to fight you. And they were like, no, we don't think that way. But Dan, you talk a lot about comic books and Batman and wrestling. Do people like that? And I was like, audience here seemed to like it. Audiences everywhere else seem to like it. Like, I'm not being too niche with my references. It's all things you should know. And I reflected on it, and it's like I thought back to Dry Bar because it's like that those words just play over in my head and whatnot. And it's like you talk about D&D and wrestling and comic books, and it was like my first three jokes: Batman, wrestling, D&D. And it's like I got to do this really cool thing, and I got to do it my way.
Yeah.
And for a celebration, awesome. I mean, did I buy myself ice cream? Probably. I buy myself ice cream a lot. But to me, it's like, hey, man, you did good. You did good. At least once you did good. And if this is the coolest thing I ever got to do, then it was a pretty cool thing. Yeah.
The reason why I asked that question, the celebration question, is because unfortunately with artists, our brains, you said it. Yeah. What's next? Yeah. I did it. I'm in the office. It's Monday. I did the thing. Now what's next? Sometimes, while that's a good question to ask, it's a poisonous question to ask sometimes, in my opinion, because it almost tells us to push away the achievement so we can look for the new one. And then sometimes it's tough because it's a really cool thing, man. Like I said, there's a selection. And you're in that elite group. I mean, Dry Bar, is a stamp of approval to comedy clubs everywhere now, and you got to do that, man. And that's really, really, really awesome, man. I remember you were telling me about it and the experience, and I've had other friends that have done it, and I'm happy for them,
Yeah.
But like I said, it's one of those moments I tell anybody, anytime you achieve something, literally take a moment, celebrate it, make it something where you give yourself a good pat on the back, because unfortunately we live in an unforgiving society where people pat you on the back and say, all right, get back to work, get back in there.
And one of my fears have always been like, and I'm going to reference 2 wrestling related movies here. And you were definitely there for one of the experiences. There's a movie called The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke.
Mhm.
And if you watch that, at one point they're at like this little wrestling convention in a VFW hall, and there's barely anyone coming through, and he just kind of feels like broken down, and he was like, what have I been doing? Like why am I still going after this dream kind of thing? And in the documentary Beyond the Mat, there's a gentleman by the name of Dennis Stamp who, he's friends with Terry Funk. And he was like, I haven't had my last match was 5 years ago, but I still got to stay in shape. And, he's working out. I'm not going to the show because, I'm not booked. And Terry Funk comes through because it's his retirement match. And he goes, oh, Dennis, I want you there. He's like, Terry, I'm not booked. I remember what it was like when we were in those locker rooms and those old dogs came in and, and just hoping somebody would recognize them. And that's what I don't want to be. And as much as I loved doing the Comic-Con shows, especially with you and Jerry, as much as I loved them, I saw the past few years with the Comic-Con industry going down, the way it has, the last show we did, it like, I was hoping it would have been great so I could be like, I'll walk away from here and hold my head up high because these used to be my absolute favorite shows. And I walked away thinking like, man, I because there were times after we did those shows, people would come up to us for the rest of the night. Yeah. And, we loved the show and everything. And there was a line of people at our merch table and whatnot. And now it's like, you do that and that didn't happen. And it's like, man, am I just racing that high or,
it's a lot of things because I was at that last show with you and you got to remember there were back in the day when those shows were really good. Those shows were treated a lot better by the people that ran them. Yeah. Nowadays, in my opinion, it's like with a cow prodder. They're just like, come on, get in there. Do your hour. All right, 50 minutes, get the hell off stage. I remember I had 2 more minutes left before I had to get out of there. And I had a guy tell me to get out now. And I'm like, no, I'm with one of your customers who's paying to be here.
Yeah.
And you're kicking him out to it's stuff like that where I'm like, now that's the experience you have. That was one of the reasons why I'm like, when you said you wanted to walk away from, I'm like, yeah, I'm fine walking away with it. Because if it's going to be ran by that person who is that rude to his customers who I was working with, then I don't need to be with you. Because if you treat your customers
I got an email from him too. I got an email from him
too. I did.
And I was just like, yeah, I'm not doing it.
Yeah. It's like, if you treat your customers like that, you ain't going to treat me good. Yeah. I'll walk away right now. We're good.
Exactly.
But that's how it is. Now let me ask you this. This is always the question I like to ask because what did you have to sacrifice? What did you have to push to get to Dry Bar?
So, I mean, this is kind of a long-winded answer and a lot of
Give me a long-winded.
Well, I mean, it really goes back because I filmed it in January 2020, so right before the pandemic shut the world down. And you kind of have to go back to the beginning in 2010 and what I got started doing. And in 2012, I made a goal for myself to do 250 shows in a year. And, in the Cleveland region, that's not the easiest thing to do. I mean, I did it, but you're gone literally, every night. And
now, why that number, if I may ask? I want to ask
because
you,
it's a good clean number. And on top of that, it was, in January, I only did like 6 shows. So I'm starting one of the months with 31 days. I'm starting, behind, behind the 8 ball there. And, and some stuff happened in my life and whatnot. And so I threw myself into comedy. And since then, it's been comedy first, pretty much this whole time. And there would be girls that I would start dating, and I would explain to them like, hey, if things start getting serious, if I got a chance to pick between you and comedy, I'd pick you, but I don't get that chance. Comedy doesn't give you that choice. And there were a lot of, I shouldn't say a lot, but there were a handful of girls that, couldn't cope with that. And, I met Tracy, who has learned how to go along with this. But I mean, there's still times where it's, my wife and my children and whatnot, and hey, we got plans, but then all of a sudden the show pops up and it's like, some of these shows I turn down now, but some of them it's like, hey, money's good. We got a kid in hockey.
Yeah.
We're going to have braces, it's dad's got to go. It's losing contact with a lot of family members, people I haven't seen in years who I used to see, at least a few times a year. Losing contact with friends, a couple buddies I've just reconnected with a couple years ago after 10 years of not talking to them. And it's not like we had a big fight or a big fallout. It's that I literally I threw myself into comedy so much, and everything's so tunnel vision that, you're focusing on what you want, that you don't even notice all this other stuff going on behind you. And then one day you take the blinders off, and it's one of those where you have to reflect and look behind you to, oh man, look how far I've come. Hey, you're not there with too many people anymore.
Yeah.
The number of people that went on that ride with you have trailed off. And that's a hard realization to have, man.
It is. Yeah. I mean, I have that realization my as well. Cause like sometimes it's just like I think you have that realization most when you ask yourself, hey, how many friends do you have that don't do stand up? And that's when you start counting that number, it's a scary number. It's because it's easy. I mean, it's easier when you have everybody who's on the same train as you and everybody's pushing each other towards the rocky top of the mountain and all that. But it's tough because I mean, the lifestyle we chose, it's not always the most desired lifestyle. I mean, it's kind of there is a certain mental illness we have to do what we want to do in order to get good at what we do. Like there was times where, those first 2 years, taking the 2-hour drive for a $50 gig. Because you're like, I'm getting paid, I made it.
Exactly.
Like, Johnny Comedy Central is going to be at fucking Farmville. I'm going to make it.
Exactly.
You have to have that delusion because it's not about the money you're making. It's not about the opportunity of being seen. It's about, okay, I'm going to tell these jokes here and see if they work. I'm going to get really good at it. Steve Harvey had this great quote. Somebody shared it on my page. I loved it. It's a great quote. I tell the $25 joke, and it's the same joke I tell when it becomes the $1,000 joke, and then it becomes the $1 million joke, and it's the same joke, and the only difference is the time I've told it.
Yeah,
and that's a very fascinating thing. It really tells you like the value goes up in what we do and how we push it. Like I said, I don't think I think having that old dog fear that you have, which is the old dog in the locker room and all that stuff, I think it's a healthy fear to have because let's face it, you and I both worked with some comedians in our days where they rested on their laurels. They hit a mark and it got an X, Y, and Z, and that's all they're going to do from now on. Yeah. Because it pays the bills, it does, it does that, but they didn't try to pop over that hill anymore. They stopped.
Yeah.
And then again, that's fine. If that's what their goal is, I salute. Great. You're not the type who gets less hungry. You're the type of guy where look at all the work you've done. I mean, you outside the dry bar, Huckabee. You also your comic books, which I want to talk about that in a few seconds, and then the Dad Night Rises. I mean, that is a formula for I need to do something next, and I already know you. I already know you have the next project already curdling inside your head because we talked about it. So. I think having that is what is going to make your nightmare never come true. I think as soon as you lose that, I think that's when you'll that nightmare comes true. But I think as long as you keep doing that, I think that's what it is.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where I think the best way to say it is truly retired comedians don't know they're retired. I know a couple people that have walked away from it after having a career in it, and it's like, okay, yeah, you retired because you did this forever and you're just tired of the road and you made a living and good for you. But it's like, how many people do we know where they're like, oh, I'm a stand-up comedian. Oh yeah, where do you perform? Well, I haven't performed anywhere around here in about 3 or 4 years. And it's, well, hate to tell you, but you're a former comedian at this point.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those things where you see some people, and who knows, man, I don't know what everyone's goals is. I don't know what their desires are. But for me, it's what's next and what can I do to improve and get bigger and just try. And I mean, that's all you can do, man. You can try.
Yeah, no, definitely. Absolutely. Totally agree 100% on that. Before we get out of here, I know I want to got 2 more things I want to do. I want to just slip over and talk about your comic books, man. I mean, this is very neat. You don't see any other comedian at the end of a show selling comic books, especially comic books starring themselves and their dog. So what made, I mean, I know from conversation, but talk to the audience, bring us through this. What made you want to make a comic book?
So I'm going to take you back to my senior year in high school. I think it was my senior. Could have been my junior, but I'm pretty sure it's my senior. I'm just being a smart ass, like to mess with people. And I was like, it's going to get under somebody's skin if I just pretend Santa Claus is real. Like an almost 18-year-old, an 18-year-old boy pretending Santa Claus is real. And I got into an argument with somebody, and like my biggest arguments are, oh yeah, if he's not real, then whose lap have I been sitting on? Who's been eating all the cookies? Who's been drinking the milk? and like all the delusional things. And then one of them trying to find the research, because we're doing this in the library, like the study hall thing.
Yeah.
And she stumbles across like one of those like make your own Christmas stories, but it's like, my name is Dan and my friend is Jesse and we live in Cleveland. And then it just fills in the blanks. And I was like, well, I could make a better story than this. So I wrote a Christmas story called How Dan Brown Saved Christmas. And it just included me and all my friends. And I think I made 4 parts. And I wish I still had those somewhere. I used to have it on a jump drive. I'm pretty sure I threw it away. But then as we're doing these Comic Cons and everything, I'm racking my brains, like, what kind of merch can I do? And then one day I had this epiphany, like, try selling a comic book. That would probably sell really well there. And then it went through, whatever story would I choose? And, I'm trying to think of all these stories, and I start and I stop and I start and I stop. And then one of my friends was like, oh, remember how you did Dan Brown Save Christmas? And immediately that hit. Mm-hmm. And I was off to the races. I mean, it's a completely different story now. Like now I'm actually saving Christmas. Yeah. But you get what I mean. It's like, oh, shit, like I wrote a story. I can do this. And it's going to be it's going to be lighthearted. It's going to be a little bit dark at times, but it's, it's me.
Yeah.
It's at the time incorporated, some of my favorite things. My dog, who unfortunately is no longer with us, God rest his soul. But my dog, comic books, and Christmas, like, and where I get to be the hero. And, that's a win-win on my opinion there.
And it's so great because, like, it's so funny. No matter what city we're in, even if it's the smallest town, the biggest town, the town that's in the middle of nowhere, people flock to these. People love comic books. And I know you talked earlier in the show. You had that the people that were like, Dan, you talk about comic books and this and that, blah, blah, blah. Do people like? And it's like, these are like the ultimate, like, F you guys are wrong. People want this. They love this because people will be like, give me the whole set. Give me the whole set.
Yeah.
They're not just buying one. They're getting the whole set. And it's cool. It's so cool and neat because it's very unique. It's very fun. And it's very simple. It's like that, which I think those are the greatest ideas. Neat, simple, and all that. Now, like I said, do you sell these online by any chance?
I'm going to. I've been looking into starting an online store. I think I'm going to sell through Amazon. I think it's going to have to be the digital version, though. So if you want to buy it online, you got to buy the digital version. I don't know how to. The printer I used to use, their prices skyrocketed. So I'm not using them anymore. And then the printer I was using, because I was making them all by hand, broke. So I'm currently printerless. So I am looking into ways to making a digital form of this available to sell online.
Well, there you go. So yeah,
Literally,
so definitely
it's this printer right here. I went to go change something. Like there was a jam from printing the comic books, and I went to go fix it, and it literally slipped out of my hand and just went right onto my weights. And I'm like, well,
jeez.
it's a good thing I bought this thing off an auction site for $30. You know, I definitely got $30 of production out of it and some.
Well, there you go. Like I said, people check that out. Keep your eye on that. Definitely, if you're at a show with Dan, make sure you check this out. It's you won't be disappointed. And like I said, man, you're getting first editions from the author himself with an autograph, man. Yeah, sky's the limit of what that will be worth. So, and hell, I would love to see a Dan Brown Saves Christmas. I mean, now real quickly, let's say let's say we sell this, we get the IP, it's sold to a movie studio, Paramount owns it, okay? They're going to make the movie, all right? But they look at you, Dan, they're like, hey, sorry, Dan, we want someone with youth, all right? A Timothy Chalamet type of youth.
I'm going to look at the runner. I'm going to look at the person in charge of CBS and Paramount and go, Barry Weiss, you are not going to turn my comic book into a far-right extreme propaganda.
Okay. All right. So how about how about any
This is
studio.
how Donald Trump saved Christmas. It's going to be huge.
Huge. Okay. Who plays you though in the comic book? Who would play the cinematic Dan Brown?
Oh man, it's got to be somebody who looks like me. The Rock, John Cena. No, who would play Dan Brown?
Yeah.
I hope that the Malcolm in the Middle reboot goes extremely well, and Frankie Muniz goes, I could be Dan Brown.
I could be Dan Brown. Oh yeah, man, that'd be good.
I want Frankie Muniz to be me.
And you could do your Stan Lee cameos.
Yes. I'll be the elf throwing the candy cane.
The character Dan Brown's running by on the street. Those damn kids.
Yeah. Do you remember those old like Disney Channel movies that they used to pump out once a month?
Oh, I remember. I missed those.
Okay. Well, do you remember? It was the Frankie Muniz one, by the way, where he plays the kid in the wheelchair who's like trying to do the boxcar racing down the street.
Oh, something in Miracle Lane.
Something like that. Yeah. Do you know the kid that was based off of was actually in that movie?
Yeah. Oh, I heard it in the behind the scenes, but I never knew who it was in the movie. Like,
it's just one of the passerby, like just one of the kids in the audience. Like they do a shot of him in the moment, and he's like, ah, or whatever, because his hands didn't go up that high. I shouldn't be joking about that. I hope he's
Jesus
okay
Christ.
out there.
He's rich. He's rich. It's okay. He's rich.
Dude, nobody from the Disney Channel's rich. Are you kidding me? What do you think Christy Carlson Romano has like the most bitter TikTok page of all time, where she's photoshopping herself on Anne Hathaway's body, going, "This should have been me in the Princess Diary." Like, the most bizarre. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, her channel at first was like kind of fun, where it was like, like she's taking a hike and she's talking about things on the set of Even Stevens. Like, this is kind of cool. And then like as it goes on, it's the same thing that Maven, former WWE wrestler Maven, is doing, where he's, at first his YouTube channel was like really cool and he's talking about his time in WWE, and then you realize like, he only had a 4-year career and he didn't do literally anything after that. And it's like, now he was like, who's a real piece of shit is that Triple H. And it was like, well, yeah, but now you just sound like you have sour grapes about the whole thing. It's like Triple H, he maybe used his political power. I believe he did, against people he didn't like. But like the guy is still running things, and you run a YouTube page.
Like I said, there's always a bitterness side to showbiz and all that stuff. It's a tough biz. It's a tough biz, and some people they fall into that bitterness because they start seeing some money, some income, because it causes controversy.
But that's my other fear too. Is I don't want to be like that bitter guy who like I want to be able to cheer people on when I see that they do better than me, especially if they're a good person. Like I don't want to be the guy that's like, I turned down a movie role, and then it turned out like that movie role went on to somebody who went on to be an even bigger celebrity kind of thing. Like, I don't want Like, I don't want to be that guy who, I'm now making my career talking shit about the guy who got the opportunity that I did.
People need to remember Matt Damon turned down 10% of Avatar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We all turn something down, and then it might be better for somebody else, and then we can either be bitter about it or we can laugh it off and move forward and work on the next project. You know what I mean? And I think that's the biggest thing to do. And that's one thing I wanted to talk to you about real fast. But before we get into that, I want us to do one of my favorite segments. It is the Crash Out Couch. So,
okay,
Dan. So what this is you get to, like I said, we were just talking about bitterness and anger and all stuff. This is where you're allowed to channel it. This is the spot. You will get 60 seconds of you getting to say whatever the hell you want to say entirely.
Okay, give me 1 second to think. Oh, boy.
Now, I'll explain the rules. So I do this, it means 10 seconds. When I do this, that means just wrap up your sentence. Okay?
Okay.
So, yeah, anything that's on your mind. It could be something big world, small world, something that's nitpicky for you, something that you think might be ridiculous. People will be like, no one will listen to me bitch about this. This is the place to bitch about it. Are you ready?
I think I'm ready here.
All right. 10 seconds on the clock. All right. 60 seconds on the clock. Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Your minute.
Every single Browns fan that complains about the things Myles Garrett talks about how he's disappointed with the team and how he can only do so much. The people that say, you know what, you're just a hired gun. You should be ashamed of yourself. Myles Garrett is the only one out there putting an actual product on the field for us Browns fans right now. He should be angry. He should be upset, just like we're all upset. Because I know if I was about to get the single season sack record and my team only won 3 games, I'd be pretty pissed off about that too. I'd be pretty pissed off that I'm not winning Defensive Player of the Week every single week because my offense can't win the game. He's doing everything he needs to. And all you Cleveland fans out there that are bashing him, especially Tony Rizzo over on ESPN 850, which, by the way, I was shocked to see he's still at a show. I was shocked to see ESPN 850 is still around because ever since the fan came through, I don't know a single person that listens to that show. I thought he's just one of these fake podcasts that are still going on, like the At Whatever show, where I don't know a single person that actually listens to it, but for whatever reason, their thing pops up on my Facebook feed all the time. And I block their page, and then another page plays their thing, and another page, and I'm blocking a million pages at the end of it. Long story short, you Cleveland fans, you have a lot to grow up about. Myles Garrett's here to stay. He's one of the best things in town, and Shador Sanders sucks. Sorry, buddy. I wish you were good. I really hope the best for you. It's just not going to happen.
A lot of passion, man. Obviously, you are a Cleveland Browns fan. You live in the area and all that stuff. And
yes.
it like I said, when you see credit not due, it pisses you off.
Yeah, I mean, it's Myles Garrett's most likely going to shatter the single season sack record this year. Like, there's still another 4 games to play, I believe. 4 or 5, I don't know. And he's currently I believe he's at 19 sacks right now. And the record is 22 and a half.
Now, for somebody who, for me, I'm not a huge football guy, I will admit to that. But, like, why do you think that he's getting the undue hate if he's doing so good?
So what happened was during the offseason, he requested to be traded because he did not like what was going on with the team. He didn't see any kind of direction. And what happened was he then went on a bunch of podcasts talking about, like, the front office don't know what they're doing. It's a bunch of bullshit, that kind of stuff. And then eventually what happened was it led to the team giving him the biggest contract anyone at his position had ever received. I mean, they literally backed the Brinks truck up to his house and then backed the Brinks truck. Like, they had 2 Brinks trucks at the same time going. It's a constant circle there. So I understand where, like, some people maybe get a little frustrated. It's like, dude, you just signed with them because they offered you the most amount of money. He claimed that, they had a plan in place when they spoke to him and he liked the plan. I don't think we're seeing that, quite frankly. But as they're losing some of these games that they were in and they had an opportunity to win, and there was just bad play, especially on the offensive side, he spoke out. He was frustrated. He was visibly upset. And people were like, you know what? Why is he talking? He's making all this money, and you're the hired gun. You showed us what your real motivation was. It was the money, not the team. And I dare say that's absolutely wrong. I mean, he's somebody who's a fierce competitor. He wants to win, and he shows that every single time. You get some of these athletes that they signed the big contract and then they rest on their laurels, like we were talking about. And then you get some of these guys where it's, no, I signed that money because I love this game, and they continue to love the game the way that they always have. So I think to the people out there that have been shitting on him all season, shame on you. To the Browns fans who've been shitting on him all season, shame on you. He's the best thing about this team. He's been playing his heart out, and he deserves a lot more for what he's been playing than what the team's been giving him.
I hear you, man. Well, hey, look, trust me, anybody who has that type of work ethic that's working really hard, and that's, like I said, not resting on your laurels. You won me over right there, because, like I said, this whole show, that's kind of been like this weird theme we've kind of been talking about, this whole not resting on your laurels, pushing forth and all that stuff. Because I imagine maybe he's the type of guy who doesn't want to have that old guy in a locker. He wants to be somebody who is somebody. Yeah, I mean, and he wants to put out all the good output, and leave nothing behind. Which, like I said, that's been the theme of tonight's show. Which now we're going to switch over to one last thing before I let you out of here, Dan. So we, like I said, in order to not rest on our laurels, we always talk about, like, what's our next project and all that stuff. Do you have a next project? Do you have something you're excited for? Something that's going to try to, you're right here, Dan. You're sitting at Dry Bar. You're sitting at your comic books. Dad Night Rises. Where's that available, by the way?
It's available on iTunes.
There you go, guys.
Apparently, it's available other places. I have been able to find it other places, so that's been kind of frustrating. But I know it for a fact. It's available on iTunes. You can check out Dan Brown, The Dad Night Rises.
Go get it. Check it out, guys. And by the way, you'll love the artwork. It's amazing. So you have all these things right here, and Huckabee, you got all that stuff. So so again, like I said, we're not resting on our laurels. What's this? What's going up now?
So a couple of things. One is trying to increase my my social media following. Yeah. I've been trying to post a lot more. Trying to make sure I'm staying with it. One thing I've learned on TikTok and Instagram that helps is when you create memes and video memes and that kind of stuff. That definitely helps with your numbers and getting people's eyeballs to your channel. I will say over the last week now, I've had a couple of videos hit pretty good, like 100,000 view hits.
Not bad. Good numbers.
So that's great numbers for me. The one I posted yesterday is at 200,000 views right now, so that's kind of cool. As for actual projects, in 2026. Well, 2026 is the optimistic goal. 2027 is the realistic goal, but I'm going to stick with the optimistic goal. Well, before I tell you what that goal is, I tell you every October 1st to December 31st, I try to write 11 jokes a day. And I'm a couple days behind right now because I needed a break, because writing 11 jokes every single day is going to burn you out, whether or not they're good, bad, whatever. And my goal is to have, based off my friend Jesse Pimpinella, his spooky special. I thought, it's a love letter to your wife. I mean, it's also because it was filmed around Halloween and the black and white and whatnot. It's got a little bit of the Halloween, literally spooky sense to it. I'm not the Halloween guy like you are, but I am a Christmas guy. So I want to do a Christmas special. Nice. So literally every one of the jokes I've written since October 1st has been Christmas related. And I probably had about 30 other jokes written before that. So still trying to figure out like where things go. I'm hoping that in these next couple of weeks as I'm on the road and, I'll have to get a hotel room for some of these gigs and whatnot, that, okay, these jokes are written. Some of them I'm already incorporating into the act to see how well they're doing. Happy to say that Quite a few of them are doing really, really well right now. Just not exactly where I want them to be, but they're still performing well.
It's progress.
Exactly. So my goal is to record a Christmas themed special by December of next year, so that by 2027 it would be available during the Christmas season.
Yeah. Well, I will say that the probability of filming something next year, I think, is very high with the productivity you have and all that stuff. I know that you and I kind of chatted about it and worked out some ideas. And I will say that some of the ideas you have for this are very fun, very exciting, and fresh and new, but also sticking with who you are as a comedian.
Can I say one thing that pissed me off, though? So I was on Netflix like 2 days ago.
Go ahead.
And maybe it drops today. I don't know. But like Matt Rife is dropping a crowd work Christmas special. And I saw that and I just went, what the fuck? Like, like here I am thinking like no one's thinking to do a comedy Christmas special except Nate Bargatze apparently 6 years ago did this too. So apparently, and Jeff Dunham did it too, but that's puppets and he's not comedy. He's not a stand-up comedian. He is a stand-up participant. Here I am just said I don't want to be bitter about people achieving.
All right, old guy in the locker room. Let's go, baby. Let's go, baby.
But so I see that, and I'm literally sitting on my couch. I'm holding my son in my arms, my newborn, and I got the remote in the other, and I see that, and like I'm looking for something, and I'm like smiling. I'm like, oh, this is coming, cool, and then I see that, I'm just motherfucker, and I throw the remote down. Didn't throw the kid down. Lucky for that one.
Yeah, the kid stayed.
Yeah, the kid stayed.
Kid learned a new word.
Yeah. So that's the goal. That's the goal, man.
But I think that, but like I said, what you have planned is a very different concept than what that is. And to be very frank, and crowd work is great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying crowd work is bad, but like, sure. But yeah, I mean, but the thing is, it's like crowd work it's an arsenal in the comedy tool. It's not the single tool. Some people can make a career off that only. What you want to do is a well-rounded special with stand-up and some sketch. I don't want to give away too much of what you talked about, but it's a really fun idea. It's a fun concept, but also I think it has a very evergreen feature to it because it's based in classic. I don't want to give out too many details about it, but like I said, guys, hopefully, fingers crossed, follow Dan and go see him live, and make sure you see some of these jokes now because you will see them when they get to that special. And I'm excited to see it, man. I really am.
Thank you, brother.
Is there anything you can kind of tell us, maybe a little synopsis, what it might be about or what ideas you have? I'm not sure if you want to tease the audience to. It's the Christmas season. Give us a little gift.
Yeah, I mean, it's about. I mean, everything is centered around. I shouldn't say everything's centered around Christmas, but I mean, it's about. Because the thing is, like, I don't want to do an hour-long special bitching about Christmas at Christmas. Like that is going to, but I want the criticism to be fun. I want the things that I enjoy about it to be expressed. I want it to be relatable with people to one aspect or another. I want to have that connection with the audience, and not just the audience in person, the audience who would be watching at home, which would be my mom. She when I was on Huckabee, which by the way, I didn't even watch when I was on Huckabee because they filmed it the day before. So I was at which by the way, I don't even think I have the channel, so I wouldn't have been able to watch it in the first place. But so I'm at the Funny Farm. And I'm headlining the show out there the next day. And all of a sudden, right before I go on stage, my phone starts buzzing. And I look, it's my mom taking a picture of herself next to the TV while I'm on TV.
That is a great moment, though. That is a beautiful moment. That really is. And you imagine what type of moment that would be for her as well.
So my dad told the pastor at his church about it like a couple weeks later. And he's like, my son was on Huckabee, which is on a religious channel. And the pastor knew what it was. He goes, that show's watched by millions of people. And my dad believed my pastor because his pastor doesn't know how television works these days. And and I told him, like, one of the reasons why I don't brag about it that much, not just because it's political and whatnot, but because it's unlike it's a television show not many people have heard of. And he was like, no, the pastor said that there's like millions of people that watch it. And I'm like, I can promise you millions of people did not watch me on television. And we're going back and forth. And I was like, okay, who's got a bigger fan base, Jimmy Fallon or Mike Huckabee? And he was like, clearly Jimmy Fallon. And I was like, okay, Jimmy Fallon on a good night gets 1.5 million people watching. There's no way Mike Huckabee beat out Jimmy Fallon with his surprise guest, Dan Brown. Okay, let's just play the cards we have here right now and be honest.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Let's weigh the odds. Let's see how this works.
Like if I was on Jimmy Fallon, I would have moved heaven and earth to make sure I watched it.
I have to cancel my gig and be like, I would have put the TV on in the background of my headline special, be like, hey guys, we're gonna watch this real fast right there.
I know you just heard these jokes 30 minutes ago, but you're gonna listen to them again.
Here we go. But this is with Jimmy Fallon, no?
Yeah.
But Dan, thank you so much for joining me, man. This has been a lot of fun and good to kind of talk about a lot of your project, your successes. I miss you, buddy. You're working, you're killing it. Where can we see you next? This show comes out this Thursday, so give us some dates or projects. What do you got coming up?
Let's take a look here. I'm in Bad Axe, Michigan on the 6th. I'm in Fenton, Michigan on the 7th. I'm in Grand Rapids, Michigan on the 12th. I'm in Omaha, Nebraska on the 13th. I have, I don't know where my show on the 19th is. January 10th, I'm at the Streetsboro Performance Arts Center in Streetsboro, Ohio. Tickets are $15. I got Bill Stone opening for me on that one, on the Parentally Incorrect Clean Comedy for the Whole Family show.
Nice.
So looking forward to that. I'll be going down to Streetsboro this weekend to, on Friday to pass out flyers to businesses around there saying, hey, it's good place to take your employees, good night out for some of your friends, just trying to get the word out about the show.
Oh yeah, man.
I got about 100 flyers right behind me here, ready to go. And we'll see.
Awesome, man. Well, anyways, make sure we check out Dan Brown at Dan Brown at danbrown.comedy.com. If I got the email website correct?
Correct. Yes, danbrown.comedy.com is the website. I've updated a couple things, so it's easier to find my social media on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok. It's at xdanbrown. On Facebook and YouTube, it's at Dan Brown Comedy.
There you have it, guys. Well, Dan, thank you so much for talking with me today. Always good to share stories, share experiences, talk new projects, all that stuff. Make sure, again, everybody go follow them, check it out. Thank you guys for listening to the Hot Mess with Jess. Tune in next week. We'll be back. Take care, everybody, and have a good night, everyone.